Welcome to Spirit of Truth, the podcast. I am your host, Dr. Sherry Walker-Shy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to each and every one of you. We are still in celebration of our Black History Month. We're still celebrating Black History Month. We have a wonderful topic today that's going to bring a lot of awareness and shed light today. We have our guest with us today, Cassandra Alexander-Green. We're so excited and happy to have her with us today. This is a topic that we really don't necessarily hear a lot of, like we do the Emmett Tillman story and other stories of injustices that we know of. And so this episode is going to bring awareness and bring light to a story, a Black history story that I feel has not necessarily had the publicity that it really needed in order to bring more awareness to the hardships and injustices that our people have suffered. So we are excited to have Cassandra, who has taken this project and made it her very own. And so we're saying welcome to you, Cassandra.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here.
So glad to have you. Cassandra, a little bit about her history and a brief bio on her. Cassandra is the founder of W.O.W.W and W.I.T.N.E.S.S program. It's an organization that works with people of physical, emotional, and spiritual distress. Cassandra, in service to her community, she is filming her TV show, Miss Fanny's Neighborhood, and we look to see more of that, which will premiere in this year, 2022. She has worked as a mental health peer specialist, a school teacher, a musician, and produced on several projects, including this project, the Moores Ford Bridge lynching reenactment, which has been seen on NBC, CBS, TV at Time Magazine, The Guardian, NPR, and BBC. It has received international attention. Cassandra has received several awards: NAACP Award in 2009, a Woman of Influence Award in 2016, a Woman of Hope Award in 2016. She has received several awards from prisons, several community awards. Cassandra's motto is, "No one can do everything, but everyone can do something." Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you. Thank you again.
As I said earlier, a lot of people aren't familiar with the Moores Ford Bridge lynching. Can you give us a brief story of that incident?
Okay. A little background on Moores Ford Bridge lynching reenactment. Moores Ford Bridge lynching actually took place in 1946 in Monroe, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes from downtown Atlanta. It was the lynching of 5 African Americans, Dorothy, Mae Murray, George, Roger, and then pregnant with a baby, about 7 months pregnant with the baby when they were lynched. It was actually her birthday, and she was turning 20 years old the day that they lynched them, July the 25th, 1946. So, and there were over 60 shots in their bodies.
Wow.
And it was reported that the top of Mae Murray's head was blown off. It was a gruesome thing. And one of the men that was killed, George Dorsey, was a returning veteran from World War II. And he had been home just a short period of time. And the president of the United States at that time said, what in the world? This man was a military veteran and he is lynched. He comes back to America to be lynched. So he sent the FBI to do an investigation. They came, of course, in small towns and big towns around the country, especially in the South. When people were lynched, people rallied around and closed their mouths when it came to giving out information. So they had a very hard time getting people to talk at all, even though everybody knew who had killed the Malcolms and the Dorseys.
Now, I read that these were couples.
They were common, back then it was more considered common law. Mm-hmm. They were common law husband and wives. Yeah. So I don't want that to throw people off because they were common law. The fact is 5 lives were taken. And really without any real reason behind it. During that time in 1946, just to give you another little bit of background, in Georgia, the Democratic primary in Georgia, there was a governor running for a 2nd term, 3rd term, I can't remember which one, Eugene Talmadge, who built his platform around race, around the fact that if he was put back in office, if he retained his office, he would make sure that even though this was his words, niggers can vote in this election, I will make sure that they do not vote in the next election. And throughout Georgia, there were many blacks hurt, killed, intimidated around Georgia to keep them from voting.
And
so it has to do with voting as well.
Yes, and it's so sad that we're still fighting that same thing in 2022 to keep our right to vote. And
isn't that something?
It's something. You mentioned something. Without these people were murdered without real reason.
Yeah.
Has there ever
what
been
happened? What happened was Roger had gotten into, and let me do something really quickly. This is the Malcolms and the Dorseys. That's a picture of them that I keep to remind me every day that I am fighting for them, for justice for them and their families, for what we are fighting for right now. So it's important that we remember that our fight continues when it comes to justice, equal rights, something as simple as voting. We are still being fought in 2022.
It's sad.
It's sad. It's really sad.
It's really sad. And with mentioning that, Cassandra, I know that you're a longtime activist, justice for our people, to encourage, to educate, and to enlighten our people about the issues, the current issues, to do more, to be more active and proactive on these issues, such as the voting rights. What would you say to our listeners? What advice would you give them moving forward to be more active and proactive on these issues?
Okay, let's put it like this. John Lewis died saying to all of us, your vote is important. Him, Dr. King, and the other civil rights activists of their time, these people died, were beaten almost to death, were put in jail, were spat on, were called everything under the sun, but they thought it's so important that we had our right to vote in this country, that they were willing to sacrifice their lives and their livelihood just so that we would have that opportunity to vote. And it is almost like a slap in their face. Yes. When we make excuses, well, it ain't gonna make a difference. Yes, it does make your one vote makes a difference. And never let anyone make you feel otherwise. And I think that's why the campaign in this country on the right, let me put it like that, is to make sure that we are not allowed to vote, or that our ability to vote is so stretched that we say, oh man, I ain't doing that. I ain't going through it.
Yeah, they put a lot of stipulations in place to suppress our vote. We saw what our vote does in this past election. We saw what our vote does when Dr. Raphael Warnock was elected. And the other senator who was elected. We saw what our votes, we saw what our John Ossoff, we saw what our votes do then. And to come up with ways to suppress the Black vote, it's not only do we slap our ancestors in the face, but America and the government and the justices and the power at be slap them in the face as well, and say that your work, your hard work, you putting your life on the line, the blood that was enough.
That's it.
It was not good enough, and that it makes their work null and void. It makes their work insignificant in terms of civil rights. And we you know, it's so much, and it's still, you know, pretty much baffling to me to see that we are still fighting these same injustices. Some of them are exactly the same, but some of them have different faces and different names. But we do have to educate and bring awareness to our people that your vote does matter, and that you are doing a disservice and a dishonor to those who paved the way and fought for us to have the right to vote. And what more can we do to, besides maintaining our right to vote, by besides going out to the polls, steps or projects are in place to help us with that, Cassandra?
We need to educate ourselves and educate our communities, because literally, if we do not get this voting thing taken care of, right, once and for all, we should not have to revisit this every 20 years, 30, it does not matter, 50 years, no. We are in this country, we are United States citizens. We should not have to ever go through anything about giving us the entitlement to vote over again. Now, it's up to us. We can sit back and say it doesn't make a difference, because guess what? Once you mess with my vote, you mess with my community. When you mess with my community, you mess with my state. When you mess with my state, you mess with my country. So everything sort of snowballs if they are able to suppress our vote community. Come on now, you are going to take away so much, because especially for our people, we already are not being treated equally or justly. So if you get people in those offices, because we don't vote, if you get people in those offices that can make the decisions that they want to make, we are in trouble.
We're in trouble.
We are in trouble. I mean,
we are in trouble. And
we are in trouble.
We constantly see it. The biggest story that's in the news right now is the Olympics committee deciding to allow the 15-year-old figure skater to compete. And Tashari Richardson was not able to compete. And her statement said that the difference is that she's a young Black lady. It's so sad, once again, that we are still fighting race wars. We're still fighting the injustices that our people endure day in and day out. And when we say Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that other people's lives don't matter. It's saying give us the same recognition and the same care and the same consideration that you do other races. And we want to be included. And so
absolutely. But that takes us standing up and saying enough is enough. You're not going to continue to keep us on this treadmill where you're just running us along, and we're trying to. We cannot make a decision to get along, just get along. It doesn't work. We see that it doesn't work. It doesn't matter what we do. It seems like there's always a group trying to keep us from getting to the next step, getting to the next level. And only our vote is going to change that. And then not just voting for people, because I don't just vote for people because they're Black. Right. I vote for agendas. I vote, what are you doing to help my community, my state, and my country? Yes. Anything, the Bible says, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, okay? Visit those who are in prison. So take care of those people that are in prison. All of these things are a part, think of it, the agenda that is happening right now. They're trying to stop health care for seniors and everybody else, hinder that. We need universal health care as far as I'm concerned, because somebody like me with health issues that last month, I had 3 surgeries, right? Over $100,000 worth. Sis, I never would have been able to afford that without the placement of the healthcare system that we have right now. You have people that do not want poor people and underprivileged people to have healthcare. What is that?
What is it?
How do you wrap your head around that?
And even, you mentioned Roger, who fought in World War II. Even our veterans, the way the health care, the hardships that we hear about our veterans, and there's really little or no help for them, our country.
Absolutely.
And more awareness needs to be brought to that as well. What do we do to take care of those who have risked their lives for our country? And for this man to have fought in the war and come home and die the way that he
at the hand of people in his community,
in his country, who he fought for, but they turned around and killed him.
Let me mention someone else that people need to know about. I don't know. Oh Lord, now his name just jumped right out of my head. There was another returning vet that was killed 5 days before the Malcolms and the Dorseys were killed. 5 days before they were killed in Georgia, a soldier killed strictly because he went and registered to vote in Butner County. And they had distinctly said in all of the counties around Georgia, Black people, you better not vote.
Where was he killed at?
In Butner County. Butner. Yes, Butner County. And his niece is still fighting right now to get Black people, especially Black people, or people to register to vote. And so he died. He was shot. He went and registered to vote that day, which they had already warned Black people not to do in that county, like many other counties. And he registered to vote. He told his mom, I went and served this country. I feel like I have a right to vote. And when he went and registered, he got home that night. And before he could cast his vote, they went to his house and shot him, killed him.
Watched Women of the Movement. That was produced by Jay-Z and Will Smith, the Emmett Till story. I never really partook in learning and really knowing more about that story, but in watching Women of the Movement, it opened my eyes to so many things. And I never really wanted to watch because I did not want to see the condition that he was left in. And because those things have a psych effect on
Yes.
us. And so
Mhm.
I never really wanted to watch, and never really, I knew of the story, but I never wanted to learn the details of the story. So but it opened my eyes, and it made me also want to know the details of the Moores Ford Bridge lynchings, because I have followed you for years, and I have witnessed your involvement and you taking on this project. What more about this story that you can leave with our listeners?
It is so much in this story, from voting to how because the whole fight came about between Roger. People in the town was saying that this man was messing with his wife. Now, that was not unusual. Think about it. When you lived on their land, because they were working the farmland, and for that they got a place to live, but they took so much advantage of Black women during that time, from slavery right on up to the 40s, 50s. They just took liberty.
As well at the hands.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, we did not come here brown skin and light skin. We know that. So all of that was a result of rapes, mainly rapes. It was very few times where it was some, consensual. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to realize that. And so this man was messing with his wife, his common law wife, went and he confronted him, which is almost unheard of.
Right.
A Black man in 1946, for you to go to a white man and say, hey, you messing with my wife, and I want you to stop it. And they got into a fight. And the man swung at him with something, and he stabbed him with one of those little pocket knives. But the fact is, it was a Black man stabbing a white man under any circumstances. That was a death sentence. So when the word got around, so he ran. When the word got around that he had stabbed Barnett Hester, the men in the town gathered up, and they got a vigilante mob. They went out to find him to lynch him. But the sheriff found him first, took him to jail, and he was in jail for 11 days. And right in Monroe, listen, we actually stand on the courthouse steps. We can look at the bars where he was, in the rooms where he was in that jail at that old courthouse in Monroe. All of this is a part of the reenactment. It brings you so close, and it's so powerful, because you're actually in those spaces and you're like, wow. He was actually in that building. You know what I'm saying?
Because the truth of the matter is, it wasn't that long ago.
See, come on.
It wasn't that long ago. And so
it was not.
It
was not.
We have, and from that time, we've come a long way. But as we see, we still have so much farther to go. We have a long way to go. And if we are still fighting for voters' rights, if we're still fighting for that along with us, how much further we have to go. It's just really my prayer that we can get beyond the Black and white lines, that we can move beyond race and skin color, and really it's my prayer that we can really know and understand the importance that every person holds that's alive and that's on the face of the earth. There's importance, there's value, there's purpose for each one of us. And skin. It's insane in this day and time. It's insanity. Cassandra, thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
and sharing with us. I'm sure our listeners have been educated and enlightened on this story so much, just as the Emmett Till story enlightened us and educated us. These are stories that we need to, our children and our grandchildren need to hear.
Yes.
And so
Yes,
thank you for your work. Thank you for your service. Thank you for bringing awareness, and continue to fight, continue to help bring awareness to our people. We need you. We need you. And it's our prayer for you that God will continue to heal you and strengthen you as well. God bless you, and thank you so much. Wow. Listen, I want to encourage every listener to exercise your right to vote. If you have not registered to vote, please do so. Do it within this Black History Month, because it will give back and pay homage and tribute to those who lost their lives so that we can have the right to vote. So please, 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 register to vote. Don't think that your voice doesn't matter, because it does. Don't think that your vote doesn't count, because it does. With us and listening in with us today, thank you so much. If you would like to be a guest on Spirit of Truth, please send us an email to spiritofTruththepodcast@gmail.com. We also would like for you to listen and subscribe to us. You can subscribe via YouTube and also through the PGN TV network. Listen to the podcast on Google, Spotify, iHeart, Deezer, Podchaser, or your favorite podcast outlet. You can also watch by downloading the PGN TV network app on Roku, Apple, Fire TV, also on ISO and Android mobile apps. Also on Cross TV or watch via web TV app at www.pgntv.org. We also would like for you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Spirit of Truth, the podcast. Welcome. We thank you and we welcome you to join us next time. God bless you. Until next time, thank you.